that white supremacy and white nationalism is ranks nowhere near the top of the issues that are facing Black America. And the reason that you are bringing them up in this room is because it is an attempt to make the election all about race, as the Democrats
Not in my case, Ms.
Please
Owens.
don't cut me off.
Let me tell you what happens in a private meeting.
And if you throw out the "you're an anti-Semite" word, then you're undebatable.
I escaped the Democrat plantation of thought.
Stop. That's it. That's all I have to say.
So Candace Owens has been all over the news as of recent. She's been talking about Charlie Kirk and the Macrons and Israel and Egypt and France, and she's completely lost it, in my opinion, I guess. But my opinion isn't really what this is about. Obviously, it's going to be all over this video, but I just kind of want to go through who Candace Owens is, why she is, how she is, what she is, and how that really relates to the broader topic of which the next two videos are going to be focusing on quite a bit, especially the fourth one. Just to start off, Candace Owens has a whole lot of conspiracy theories regarding TPUSA. And Erica Kirk went on, I don't even know what news station, but she went on one and she had this, really popular really popular line in the interview here.
She has been one of the main peddlers of these conspiracies, and she is making a huge amount of money on it. She is building her business off of these lies. What do you want to say to her and the other people that are putting these lies out into the world right now? Stop. That's it. That's all I have to say. Stop.
So, these two have been going at it for a while, mostly with Candace just kind of, throwing punches at Erica. And that kind of brings us into where is Candace's career going? Because if it's not going down the TPUSA, traditional Republican, traditional conservative, one of those routes, then where is it going? I mean, you could make the argument that it's going down like the Nick Fuentes, alt-right, kind of down that way. But I wouldn't be so sure. I mean, these two are classic enemies. I mean, they can't stand each other, so I don't know why they'd go down and be leaders in the same movement when they can't stand each other. Whatever the case may be, I don't know where her career's gone. I have a bunch of theories on where it's going to go, but before we jump way into the future, we should look at the past a little bit. We should look at where Candace Owens came from, what her story is, what her upbringing is, and more importantly, her first big newsworthy incident. Candace Owens grew up in Stanford with her mother and her grandparents, and she respects all of them greatly. Beyond just being Black and a woman, she's also Caribbean American through her grandmother's side. But the background is kind of just a modest child goes to high school with, that kind of living situation, I guess. There isn't a lot of meat there until you get to when she's a senior. That's when it kind of gets juicy. So in 2007, Candace sued her high school. And she sued the high school because she received 3 voicemails. And in the voicemails, there are about 3 minutes of just death threats and sexualizing and all these demented things that this group of teenage boys was saying into the phone. One of those boys was the 88th governor of Connecticut's son, which is a crazy, that's a crazy link, if you ask me. But the voicemails got really popular. I guess not the voicemails themselves, but the story of the voicemails got popular. And the Owens sued the school for not, protecting Candace Owens. After this happened, there weren't extreme measures to make sure that Candace was safe. I don't know where that extent goes to. I don't know what the Owens were expecting or what the school did provide or didn't provide. But the Owens made the case that they didn't provide enough. And they won. They got a $37,000 win from the lawsuit. And so I guess the school didn't provide enough. the jury would say. That's kind of this refers to like mainstream kind of thing, and nothing. Candace was out of the spotlight for 10 years until about 2017 when she started posting meme videos online.
Mom, Dad, I'm a lesbian. I like girls. Oh, sweetheart. We always knew. The bottom line, we just want our children to be happy, and we love you regardless. Brave soul. Oh, thank you, guys. Oh, also, I think I might be a conservative. I don't understand. I can't breathe. Hey, get that camera out of my wife's face. Guys, it's totally fine. It's okay. I just, think a little more conservatively. Sweetheart, you're black. Yeah. Look, it was a crazy election cycle. A lot of emotions. We're going to get you somebody to talk to, and you're going to...
And then shortly after that, after the kind of cringe, I guess, I don't know, it's not my humor, kind of commentary or me blog, she started doing real commentary. And I really want to highlight this because this is the OG Candace Owens. This is the original Candace Owens. Just listen.
From 1620 to 1865, the bodies of African American men and women were enslaved in America. The year is now 2017, and the minds of these males and females are now enslaved. My name is Candace Owens, and you are watching my vlog series, The Myth of the Coon. In mid-2016, I escaped the Democrat plantation of thought.
So, I mean, she was great. She was actually like a pretty just steadfast conservative or more Republican, just a steadfast Republican, commentator. And around this time is when she met her husband, George Farmer, which to this day, she hasn't really taken his last name, probably because the Owens name is just so popular. I don't know. I wouldn't call that trad. And this is kind of going down a rabbit hole, but she married George Farmer, and she didn't change her last name, yet she writes a book called Make the Sandwich, in which it's telling women how to be like a trad, super trad wife for their husbands. I don't know. I wouldn't call Candace Owens extremely trad, but it is what it is. Her OG commentary was great. And she goes on to start this little foundation, this group, this organization called Blexit, which was Black Exit. It was the two words merged together. Blexit's goal was ultimately just to get black Democrats to swing Republican, which I believe at the time 8% of black Americans identified with Republican Party, which is incredibly low. You know what I mean? So of course Blexit took off. They hosted, black speakers, and Candace Owens, the runner, posted a bunch of it on her YouTube. And this is where Candace Owens really got some recognition. She actually got so much recognition that she met Kanye West. And when she met Kanye West, they started talking about how the two of them could form or build up Blexit. But at this time, being on a political side wasn't cool for a mainstream, especially a rapper who's black and wants to swing Republican. It's not mainstream at all. It's not cool at all. It's not, it's not something you see. So they're talking about how to form Blexit and how to grow it. And after the meeting's over, Candace Owens announces new merch for Blexit, and then she says that Kanye West designed it. And immediately Kanye West shoots back, and he's like, I don't want anything to do with your Blexit organization. I didn't design it. That's not me at all. And Blexit took a huge hit. I mean, it got announced by Kanye West in 2018. Yeah. So around that time, a little later, after the Kanye West thing, Candace Owens got invited to TPUSA. She was the communication director for Turning Point, whatever that means. And she lasted for 2 years until she had to resign. She was forced to resign because a bunch of chapters held a protest, I guess you could call it, in which they called for Candace Owens' resignation because she was minimizing the Holocaust and Hitler more specifically. She said that the reason that people hated Hitler wasn't because he killed 6 million Jews, but because he was a globalist and a nationalist. And that's why they hated Hitler, not because of the Holocaust, but because of that. So that blew up, and Candace Owens she resigned from TPUSA. And she kind of she has her show that she starts doing, and she has, or was doing, and she has Blexit, so she keeps the pedal going there, till eventually she's hired at Daily Wire. And if you don't know how that turned out, it's kind of an interesting story for both sides, not just like pooping on Candace. But she had this scandal, I guess you could call it, in which she was denouncing Israel and being like anti-Semitic. To the extent that she was being anti-Semitic goes both ways. On one end, she's minimizing Hitler and the Holocaust. On the other end, she's questioning Israel and why we fund its military. Both arguments, with one of those arguments being bad and one of those arguments being really good. I see the controversy, I guess. However, Daily Wire fired her because in the contract it says you can't be anti-Semitic. Why would something like that be in the contract? And how many times has Ben Shapiro called someone anti-Semitic just for calling out Israel's bullshit? I don't know, but I can't imagine it's really hard to be a critical anti-Israel or just Israel critic in general and be hired at the Daily Wire. So she got fired for that. And now Candace, she has to kind of build up her own brand, or at least like build up her brand by working with other brands rather than working for brands. So the energy that Candace Owens gives off, I'd say the core of her marketing just is really highlighted in this clip.
And CAA and what they can do for you, that sort of power is ineffectual in this day and age. And so I think they recognize that, and that the public simply doesn't believe the story that they've been fed, and the psychological operation to convince us not to believe our own eyes or to trust our common sense instincts has failed.
Right. So like you can tell that she's really confident in what she says. And more confident people draw bigger crowds. Those are the leaders, are not necessarily the smartest, not necessarily the most educated, but it's the most confident people are the people who end up being leaders and being commentators and being this and that. The more confident you are, the more you can brand yourself, the easier it is to do that. That's why it's such a talking point when people are like, I haven't changed my views in 30 years. Not because they've never been proven wrong or because they're truly consistent. It's because they haven't wanted to. Because it's really easy to market yourself when you're just one thing all the time. When people come up and ask you questions, it's hard to get people to contradict yourself because you're steadfast in one point. On the other end, it's impossible to argue with these people because they never change their mind. At least not on major topics. I say that's like one of the killers in our society right now, is that people don't change their mind on anything. I mean, when have you convinced a Trump supporter that Trump isn't as good as they think they are? To the extent where they don't vote for him. And then I'm not attacking Trump supporters. When have you convinced a Kamala Harris supporter the same thing, to the point where they don't vote for her? Didn't. I mean, these coalitions that are built are thick. I mean, it's really hard to get out of them, just at an inside level. It's really hard to get someone to admit that they were wrong at that big of a topic. And a commentator, it's not happening. They are never going to change their mind on anything major. So Candace Owens really is attacking Israel at this point, calling the Gaza crisis a genocide. Whether you believe that or not is up to you, I guess. But she merges with this new idea, this new Trump idea for, marketing for Trump, I guess. More of like a rally his supporters kind of thing. And that's the Freedom Phone. Now, if you don't know what the Freedom Phone is, the Freedom Phone was this phone that was supposed to be uncensorable and untrackable and untraceable, and the real patriots got the Freedom Phone. And Candace Owens was all in on this. I mean, she was one of the biggest supporters of this. She helped orchestrate all the stuff. I mean, she was right in there. Up until everyone realized the Freedom Phone was made by the Chinese. And it was made for like dirt cheap. Like it was this really bad phone that was made by the Chinese for dirt cheap. And they just sold it over here for a higher price. That was the Freedom Phone. So, I mean, when that came out, and of course it was going to come out, everyone knew that people, I don't know how you couldn't know that people were not gonna, or were gonna learn that the Freedom Phone was made in China. I don't know, but it came out, and Candace Owens kind of got sunk for that. I don't know why people don't talk about that more either. Like, you hear people debate on politicians, and they'll never mention the Freedom Phone scandal, which I think is insane. I think that's, in my opinion, I'm a Trump supporter to an extent. In my opinion, though, the greatest attacking point that a liberal can make against Trump is the Freedom Phone, and yet no one talks about it. I mean, no one really. It's whatever. I'm gonna leave it at that. Which, and all of that being said, though, this amazing clip comes in and just highlights that, that double side of Candace Owens, though.
Necessarily say, oh, well, that's it. Now we're not going to have any other public discussion. I'm hopeful they will. I think they should. I totally agree with you. More transparency, the better.
So Candace Owens has been fired from TPUSA, or resigned from TPUSA, fired from Daily Wire. Blexit is, I mean, nobody knows about Blexit. The Freedom Phone went in the dumpster along with her show. So what does she do now? Now we have the thick of it. This is the real turning point for Candace Owens. And unfortunately, that starts with the tragedy of the assassination of Charlie Kirk, in which Candace Owens just goes balls to the wall on the conspiracy theories. Before I get into any of the conspiracy theories, though, or into anything, I want to say that without a doubt, I mean, there's obviously a conspiracy to be had about any mass shooting or political assassination, but without a doubt, Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk. He admitted it in 3 different text messages. His roommate saw him engraving bullets. His coworkers, his family, and his friends all recognized him when the image went out. His parents reported him to the police, and then in trial, he made no mention of a cover-up. He made no mention that he didn't do it. I mean, he was completely admitted to what he did. There's without a doubt that Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk. And if Tyler Robinson didn't, then my question is, why is he still alive? You see, it'd be one thing for the FBI to just blame Tyler Robinson for this inside job, kill him, and then he never gets to talk. His parents would never be able to defend him because, of course, parents are going to defend their kids, so their judgment would matter at all. You delete his internet history and all that, which you didn't really know until as of recent, his internet history. So there is a conspiracy theory to be had to a limited extent. Then you got Candace Owens talking about holograms and talking about Egyptian planes and talking about this and that. It's like, whoa. I mean, that is way, way off the rails.
Robinson killed Charlie Kirk.
Absolutely not. I haven't seen one piece of compelling evidence that Tyler Robinson scaled the rooftops like Spider-Man on a college campus that he didn't go to and fired one shot, a magic bullet shot, and killed Charlie Kirk. I have not seen one piece of compelling evidence. In fact, I've seen more compelling evidence to the
I
contrary.
mean, we're talking about a guy who was caught on camera doing what he did, and his own imprints were left at the scene. We're talking about a guy who undoubtedly did it. And if Tyler Robinson didn't kill Charlie Kirk, let Candace Owens be the greatest journalist in all of history. But do not put your Kalshi bet on that, because you're going to lose so much money. It's not going to happen. Tyler Robinson, like, it's already known as a fact. This is a fact as of now, is that Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk. It's a fact. I'm sorry. And that point that I made there is going to grow into a broader point near the end. A point of which is maybe career reckoning for Candace Owens. I mean, I don't know if Candace really comes back from the end that I'm about to explain. Let's talk about Brigitte Macron. And for the rest of this, I'm not going to say her full name because just saying that line took me 5 times. I cannot say this lady's name. It's just going to be, this is BM. We're talking about BM. So Candace Owens was convinced that BM was a man, and the First Lady of France we're talking about, by the way, is a man and not a woman. And all of her evidence is just kind of based on the fact that she looks a little silly. Okay, she does. But that's the extent of her evidence. She goes on her podcast and says that there are no photos online of her as a child, which is just false. I mean, they're all over. And I don't know why this beef really came in, but it's really gone off the rails as of recent with the announcement from Candace Owens that the French government is trying to assassinate her. She says that the French government's onto her and that she needs to be silenced, and oh my goodness, it is off the walls. I mean, Candace is just this child bouncing off the walls, and what this has led to is an actual court case. There is a court case right now between Candace Owens and BM, and this court case is over the simple fact that Candace Owens does not believe that the First Lady of France is a woman. With that being said, all of the evidence in the court case as of right now is pretty convincing that she is a woman, and all BM has to do is prove that she's a woman. When she does that, Candace Owens is going to lose a lot of money. Not just from the case, though, but from a $300,000 bet between her and Piers Morgan, which, mark my words, she is not going to pay for. She's not going to hold her end of the deal. But a $300,000 bet between Piers Morgan and Candace Owens. If Piers Morgan wins and BM can show that she's actually a woman, then Candace Owens has to pay that $300K to any charity of Piers' choice. Vice versa for Candace Owens if she can prove that BM is a man. Now, on the off chance that Candace Owens has that kind of cash left over and she does humble herself and pay off that money for Piers, which I highly doubt she will, I'm almost certain that she's going to say that it was a jury conspiracy and that the court systems are rallied against her and they want to silence Candace Owens. There's so much to it, but whatever. As normal, though, I disagree with Candace on a lot of things, but I want to take a moment to defend her before I really drop the bomb at the end, I guess. First off, like I said earlier, OG Candace was good. She had good commentary skills. She was passionate, it seemed, about what she did. And I feel like when she formed Blexit, it was just really about the conservative movement. People like Nick Fuentes will say things that she's just chasing the money and she noticed that conservatism was cool. Conservatism was not cool in 2017 or 2016. I mean, I'm pretty young, so I guess I wasn't fully aware of the political climate back then. But I wouldn't consider it to be cool or hip or trad or anything. Maybe trad, but I wouldn't consider it to be anything like that. Not something you just bandwagon on. So OG Candace was good, was cool. And she worked with organizations like TPUSA and Daily Wire. And she did a good job outside of her, anti-Semitism. And I'm so sorry, I'm never using that word. Outside of her rhetoric towards Israel and Jews. And I was looking at her Wikipedia page, and I kind of just want to read it off because I think it dehumanizes her a little bit. Candace Owens, born April 28, 1989, is an American political commentator and author. Her political positions have mostly been described as far-right or conservative, meaning that far-right and conservative are the same thing. And I think that's insane to assume that, or to make the argument that far-right and conservatism are on the same field. I feel like conservatism should be kind of like the in-between between Republican and Democrat. I mean, that's kind of where I stand, I feel like. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I got my political spectrum, my political GPS off, but that's kind of how I see it. She has prompted numerous conspiracy theories, especially those with anti-Semitic, anti-black, anti-French, anti-trans, or anti-intellectual themes. I had to actually look at what anti-intellectual meant, because I didn't think it would be like as dumb as it sounds it is, but it is. It's basically just saying that she's dumb. She's anti-intellectual. She doesn't, I don't know, anti-French, yeah, I get it. I guess, maybe. I mean, she doesn't hate French people. She just hates the Macrons. Like that's like saying if Justin Trudeau didn't like Donald Trump, that means he's anti-American. He hates America because Donald Trump is president. It's so just far off to say. And unfortunately, I mean, she's anti-trans. Yeah. Anti-black. Candace Owens, a black woman, is anti-black. I'm not even going to get into why that is ridiculous and retarded as it sounds. Anti-Semitic, that's just a buzzword. I mean, she's more anti-Semitic than your average person, especially with the light Holocaust denial. But this anti-Semitic word, as conservatives, we need to stop throwing it around. All right, we used to be the party that hated that hated the words. The you're a racist, you're a misogynist, you're a homophobic, you're a this or you're a that. We used to be the party that hated those buzzwords because we knew that they were just buzzwords. Like me and you, I assume on the other end of this camera, you're probably conservative. You're listening to this. We're not racist. Yeah, we look at graphs that say that black people commit more crimes than white people. That doesn't make us racist, and you know that. I know that. That doesn't make us racist. So why are we throwing around this anti-Semitic word? Why do we call everyone anti-Semitic who questions Israel? Yeah, there are things to question about Israel. 100%. Everyone knows that. That's not up for debate. A lot of conservatives like to pretend and just kind of sweep it under the rug, the Israel issue. Like, oh, Israel is our friend. Israel is our ally. Shut up. Okay, we're going to talk about this, and we're going to have a conversation. We're going to have a debate. And if you throw out the "you're an anti-Semite" word, then you're just you're undebatable. You're unconversationable. I can't talk with you if you throw out that word. Because no longer can you accept that maybe we shouldn't be spending all this money on Israel. Maybe we shouldn't be continuing or assisting their war, their absolute leveling of Gaza. On the other end, people like to make this argument that stuff like the USS Liberty is a good example of why we can't be friends with Israel. I'm not going to get into the USS Liberty, but just know from my end that that's a dumb argument. Okay, if you look at the history of the USS Liberty and what happened, it's a dumb argument. And it is one thing to notice that all the major companies are owned by Jews, and that's suspicious. That's weird. That's weird, right? I get it. You want to question that. And I think we should be able to question that. Is there a deeper conspiracy in there? I don't really know. I'm not sure. Maybe. Possibly. Probably more of a conspiracy than someone like Donald Trump would like to admit, and less of a conspiracy than someone like Nick Fuentes would like to admit. That's where I stand. On the the Jews own everything conspiracy theory. That's where I stand. And I know that that's a huge spot to be in, but I guess to be more exact, if you have this huge graph, which is pretty much the entire graph, I'd say if here's the middle, here's the 50% is the middle, I'm probably 70% leaning Nick Fuentes. I think there's a good conspiracy to be had. Not a huge one, not a world-ending one. So, back to my original point, though. If you are a conservative and you want to be part of the commentary, be part of the debate, be part of the conversation in the conservative movement, don't ever use anti-Semitism as a buzzword. Now, there are anti-Semites. There are people like that, Nick Fuentes. But we should not be using this word as just a push-off. Like, oh, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to hear what you have to say. You're an anti-Semite. Shut up. On Candace Owens' page, it says that she had a talk show. It mentions her talk show and with the Daily Wire and why she got fired and stuff like that. I don't think it gives her enough credit. It just kind of says that she was regarded as an anti-Semite. I don't know. Owens has expressed skepticism about the extent of white supremacy's impact on society. Yeah, we should all be skeptical of that. Okay, the white supremacy problem in America is statistically only really affecting white people. You have the Aryan Brotherhood who just kills each other in prison. I mean, is white supremacy a problem? Sure. Sure, to a minor extent, yeah. Is it such a problem that we need to blind ourselves to broader issues regarding other races, i.e., black people and Hispanic people and Muslims? No. Not even if white supremacy was twice as bad. If that was true, that's when we start talking about maybe including it in that level of conversation with the black murder rates and with the Hispanic illegal immigration problem and with the Muslim Sharia law and how they're outpopulating us. That's when we consider it up there. Not even because us conservatives believe it should be up there ranked, but just to appease liberals. So then conversation can be had. She voiced opposition to both COVID-19 lockdowns and COVID-19 vaccines. Yeah, most conservatives did, and now COVID-19 vaccinated individuals are dropping like flies. So there's also this little audio clip titled "Owens Speaks on White Nationalism in the United States." And after saying that she's anti-black and is skeptical of white supremacy, they show a clip that I doubt you're supposed to listen to because it just this intro, this Owen speaks on white nationalism. I read that and I was 100% sure I was going to hear her say that white people are, the greatest thing that God ever created. But no, that's not what she says at all. I encourage you to listen to it. It's great. It's actually a good commentary from her end. Like I said, this part is just to defend Candace Owens. I think that this commentary was good. And another thing, though, that the Wikipedia page doesn't really talk about, just kind of says she's anti-Semitic. A lot of people consider her like a Holocaust denier. I also feel like that's a buzzword generally used by both conservatives and liberals. But she's not a Holocaust denier. She's a minimalist for sure. She's skeptical about the official narrative, which is wrong. She's wrong about that. Wrong morally? Maybe not. I don't think so. I think it's okay to question things, even if the question that she's asking at hand might entail something provocative. I think that's what the conservative movement was founded on, as the modern conservative movement was founded on, because we hated, we needed to talk about certain things, like the black murder rates, And we were called racist for bringing it up. Is Candace Owens wrong about the Holocaust? Yeah, she's wrong. She doesn't know what she's talking about. Is she wrong to bring it up? I don't think so. I feel like anyone should be able to bring up whatever they feel like. And is it Candace Owens' fault that she's pulling in 2 million views every video? I mean, she's eating Ben Shapiro's lunch? No. People like to listen to her, sure. That's fine. That's good. Good on her head. Because at least she's more conservative than a liberal. I mean, if 2 million people are listening to her and she wants to sell a book about women making sandwiches for their husbands, then more power to her. That's something that Ben Shapiro would never say. More power to her. Now, I'm done defending her. So, as we discussed earlier, Candace Owens is about to lose a lot of money to BM and to peers, and her viewership is not looking too hot as of, as the controversies die off. Still eating Ben Shapiro's lunch, but not looking as good as it should be. I want to play you this clip, and it just hits right on the head where I'm going to go with this argument.
Ostensibly, even if you're a believer, it's for the sake of public disclosure. Then you get a private meeting. Let me tell you what happens in a private meeting. It is not disclosure. What happens in a private meeting is a deal is made. That is what happens in private meetings. Private closed-door meetings with lawyers present is for deals. That is where deals are made. Deals that might not be well received by the public.
So yeah, I mean, she's lost it on this Charlie Kirk thing. She has made, since Charlie Kirk died, she has made 50 videos about Charlie Kirk's assassination. All conspiracy theories. Averaging about between an hour and 2 hours long. 50 videos. All about Charlie Kirk's assassination. That's insane. And when I mean 50 videos, I don't mean that she kind of has filler in between. I mean every episode she's had since Charlie Kirk died has been about Charlie Kirk. Every single one. 50. She has completely lost it. She doesn't even know what she's talking about anymore. She can't admit that Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk. She can't admit this, she can't admit that. What she can admit, though, is that Egypt has something to do with it. Well, she doesn't even admit that. She says that Israel is using Egyptian planes so that we blame Egypt for it. Is there question to be had about those planes following Erica? Maybe. Sure. Did they kill Charlie Kirk? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I know a lot of people like to cite that Charlie Kirk died right after he started questioning Israel. I think it's fair to note that Charlie Kirk was always questioning Israel. He was always also a supporter of Israel. He hadn't really changed. I mean, Tyler Robinson's motive was clear. He hated Charlie Kirk because Tyler Robinson thought that Charlie was a fascist. He wrote that. He engraved it in the bullet that killed him. So Candace Owens to believe this is bad. Is wrong. And what's going to happen, and what happened in that meeting, furthermore, what happened in that meeting was that Erica brought TPUSA staff, phoned up her lawyers, and Candace brought her cousin. And in the meeting, Erica said, here is the evidence for Charlie Kirk's assassination. Here's the evidence that we aren't involved. If you don't stop talking about it, if you don't chill out at least, obviously you don't want to censor them. It's not very conservative to censor someone. But if you don't chill out, then we will bring this evidence to a courtroom and we will sue you. And that's kind of Candace's whole brand right now is Charlie Kirk. She has made millions off of these videos of Charlie Kirk. These videos alone, for the third time, she is eating Ben Shapiro's lunch. And now she's getting threatened. After she's about to lose this major court case, and she's about to lose a huge bet, after all of her, her cooperatives, TPUSA, Daily Wire, Freedom Phone, all that sunk for her. Now she has to find something else. And I don't know if she will find something else. She might need to get sued. This might be the end of Candace Owens. I don't know for sure. If I had to guess, I would assume it's not. I assume that one of three things is going to happen. I'd say there's, my opinion, 40% chance Candace Owens keeps on going what she's doing, tries to moderate herself, and slowly just moves into a new topic. Say 20% chance that she doesn't move on and she doesn't moderate herself and she keeps talking about Charlie Kirk and she gets sued. And then her career is either in the toilet and she's done, or she has to rebuild from scratch pretty much. And she uses that as a marketing tool. I got sued for saying the truth. And then I'd say the rest of the 40% is that she just like quickly moves on. She dumps it. She doesn't admit that she was wrong. But next month, it's just kind of, she's done with the topic. I'd say that's my odds on what's going to happen. I'm not sure. But I do think that Candace Owens is really at a crossroads. I mean, there isn't a road forward anymore. It's kind of a left or right. So with that, I want to say one last thing is that I don't think we should be attacking Candace Owens as much as we are. I feel like some unity in the party would be healthy. I feel like it'd be good. I think that's kind of what we need at this kind of climate. Everyone's fighting each other, and everyone's got opinions on each other, and everyone's got this and that, and they're just beating each other up, and we're predicted to lose the 2026 midterms. 2028 is not looking nearly as hot as we thought it was. So if we don't focus up right now, then it's not going to look good for the conservative movement. But there is something we can do. We can start talking about each other in a more Christian, in a more respectful way. Candace Owens isn't an anti-black, anti-Semite. She's just wrong. And there is respectful debate to be had. She's just misinformed. She's probably doing it for money. Let's have a debate about it. And then afterwards, let's acknowledge that she has had some good commentary. She isn't all bad. She isn't Satan. Let's acknowledge that there is a good side of Candace too. A great side with great commentary that I feel like with the right kind of pressure and with the right kind of dialogue we can get back to. So, beyond Candace, we should be talking about that with each other. I know a lot of people don't want to vote for J.D. Vance, or a lot of people like Nick Fuentes, or a lot of people are really on the Ben Shapiro train, or a lot of people are just kind of laid back and listen to some Tucker Carlson. Why can't we all have respect for each other? I listen to all of those people, and many more. I think to an extent. They're all great in their own way. And I feel like that's how we should be looking at each other more. With that being said, have a good day. God bless.